Hello and happy Sunday. Let me just see if I can't fix this bracelet so it doesn't keep hitting the table and making so much noise. So, I was going to jump on yesterday and I never got a chance because I was waiting for the roofer to come and take a look at my roof, and they never showed up. So, that's the fifth company I have called that has not shown up. So my neighbor and I put a tarp on the roof, and I'm just not going to worry about it until I have a really bad leak. Um, it's just crazy. I can't believe that I'm fighting for someone to come and put a roof on my house. So this was the card I created for my Mail a Card Monday. And I wanted to show you how I created it. Hi. How I created it because it is a really pretty card and it was a very fun technique. I know, not good at all. So let's get started. I have a base that is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4.25. So let's just give that a nice edge. And then I have a second layer of basic white, and this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So we're just going to adhere this right to the front of the card, making sure that it's pretty even all the way around, just like that. Next, I took a piece of vellum, and this is measured 5 1/4 by 4. And we're going to create this background. So I'm using the new in colors, and let me just make sure. So succulent, and what is this one? Oh, I guess I have two of them. Okay. And what we're going to do is create our background. So I'll start with the light pale papaya. Now you could use the dark. Hello, hello. My husband is not really feeling too good. We're not really too sure what's happening. They keep adjusting his medication, and the stents, I guess, are going to take time, but he still keeps losing his breath. Hi Sandra, how are you? Hey Do. So hopefully he'll start to feel better. You know, I think a lot of what's going on with him is that he can't do anything. We've had, one disaster after another, and I am the one who has to handle it all. And I think it's starting to frustrate him. So hopefully he'll start feeling better. Okay, so we're gonna pull, but thank you for asking. I appreciate it. So we're gonna grab our vellum, and I'm going to grab the light pale papaya, and I'm gonna use the brush end, which is pretty rare for me. And all we're gonna do is color some spots, and they can be random, they can be little, they can be big, and we're just going to put some pale papaya on the background. Then we're going to grab some of the polished pink, and we're going to again just fill in some spots with some polished pink, and I'm just being random, just like that. Now on this card, all my colors I grabbed were the light. For this one, I did grab the dark fresh freesia because this color, the light one is very, very light. So I wanted to add it so it was a little bit darker. So we're just going to randomly, again, put this around. And then we're going to grab the light, soft, succulent. And you know, thank you for sharing. I think the hardest part that I'm finding right now is food. We have to watch naturally his salt because of the pleural infusion. He's had it twice and he's retaining a lot of fluid because when your heart is weak, when your heart muscle is weak, you don't disperse and you hold on to your fluid. So we're trying to eliminate almost all the salt from our diet, and it has been a challenge for sure. So I think that's what I'm finding the most difficult. Okay, so now we have this piece of vellum with all these random dots on it. Oh, yes, that's true, Karen. That's exactly usually how it works. So now I'm just going to grab a paintbrush and an empty container, and I'm going to use 91% alcohol. The higher the percentage, actually, the better it will work. 99 is about the best you can buy. And you're just going to dunk your paintbrush and dot the alcohol onto this background. And you can cover it or just dot it, and you just want to let the alcohol react to the marker and do its own thing. As you can see, it's starting to melt together. Yes, Karen, it is vellum. That's exactly what it is. So now I'm noticing that it's pooling right here on the edge, so I'm just going to dot it a little bit, and we're going to let this dry. It'll take a few minutes to dry. I didn't do a second one, so let me just see. I want to put something in the center of this so it, and just lean this in here so it lays flat. And then I'm going to take an additional piece of vellum and I'm going to do the same thing, but I am going to emboss the image on it. So I don't need to color the whole piece. I can just color one side of it. And I'm not going to fill this in like I did the other one. I'm just going to add some color because we're not going to add alcohol to this one. We're just adding color to the vellum. And then the pale papaya. That's about all I really want on this one. So let's just move this over, let that dry, and I'll move this up. So I'm going to grab my stamp, and I'm going to grab my Versamark. You can do this in gold, you can do this in silver, you can actually do it in white embossing powder. And we're just going to ink up this stamp. Make sure it's inked up really well and position it on your vellum and stamp. And then we're going to add our embossing powder. Make sure you get the whole image I had almost forgotten those little leaves at the top. And now our image is embossed in silver. So let me quick um, heat this up. Okay. You want to make sure that you hit all the embossing so everything should look nice and shiny. And I'm going to just let this cool for a minute. So I don't want it to, that should be good. And then I'm going to turn it over. Now you can see really nicely through the image. And this time I'm grabbing the dark evening evergreen. I think that's the one I want. Let me just check it over here and see what it looks like. Let's try dark soft succulent. Let's see. I don't want it to be so dark, but I want you to be able to see it. Let's do that one. So here's our embossed image. I'm going to turn it over and I am going to color in just the leaves and the stem on this image. So I'm just going to color these in. And I'm giving it a good coloring so it, darkens up a little bit and you can actually see the color through. It's going to be very subtle because you don't want it so dark that those leaves really pop out unless you do the image too. But I'm just going to color in all these little leaves. And I'm not doing anything special. I'm just coloring, not adding light and dark because the embossing on the image is going to cover all that up. And then you can see, and it isn't that dark, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to use the darker one and let's see what happens. If I don't like it, oh well. But it's just that when you're coming through the vellum, it does seem to lighten that color up a lot. So I'm just going to color it in with the darker. See what happens. Now it'll probably be so dark that we don't like it. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to leave those little leaves in the front so it doesn't look like a big blob. And let's get these down here. So just a quick color, nothing, like I said, nothing fussy. Now, so you can see as it dries. Okay, there we go. So that doesn't look too bad. You really can't see the color of the flower yet, but we will fix that. It's not going to be very bright. Like I said, if you wanted to, we could go back and use our blends and just add some more color to darken up the flower if you want to see the colors a little bit more vibrant. You could always do that. And we don't have to worry. Okay, so now if you'll give me a moment, I have to, here's the die that matches this image. And I'm actually going to die cut this out. And then I'm going to die cut an additional piece in basic white because we want to adhere that to the back of this image. So just give me 1 second and I will cut this out really quick. And we're going to hope that it cuts out the way it's supposed to. After it's all nice and colored now, I don't want to make a mistake. Okay, so here is the image die cut. And then I'm going to cut an additional, let me just grab some paper here. And we're just going to die cut an additional image. Okay, now you'll notice my image did actually shift, and I had a feeling that was going to happen. So now that it's all die cut out, I do have a sponge that I cut up, and I'm going to grab my glue, and I'm just going to put some glue around this piece. Grab my sponge, and I'm just going to pat this ink, the glue down to this piece. Grab my vellum, and I'm going to just lay it right down on top. Just like that. Now you can see the colors a little better with the piece. Yeah, that's okay. I'm glad to have you. Okay, so like I said, it did shift a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it right now, okay? Now, our background, it looks like it's just about dry. Let me just hit it with the heat gun, just so I can get it a little bit more dry. Okay, so here's our piece. Now what I'm going to do is grab the Bouquet of Love Hybrid Embossing Folder. Now you can emboss this and just leave it as it is. You'll open it up and you'll see that the heart is here. Or you can add the heart die to it. Now you got to make sure you know this is going to be the back. This is going to be the front. You can feel it, okay? You want the front to be bumpy, so all these are imprinted on. The images are sticking up. So I'm going to take my piece, and this is the front of my piece. I'm going to flip it over, line it up right on that line, and try to get this heart so it's pretty well centered. Like I said, you do not need to add the die if you don't want. But I did, so it would cut out the heart, and I can use that on an additional card. So let me just close this up. Give me a second to run it through. Really quick, we'll run it through my cut and emboss machine. And then when we take it out, you'll see it'll have a hole in the center, but then you also have an additional piece that you can use on a different card. Or if you wanted to make a gift box to go to this card, you could put that heart on it. And then now we have our front layer to our card. So we're going to do the same exact thing that we did to this image. We're going to add our glue, and we're going to take our sponge And we're going to just dot this around. You don't want that goppy glue underneath the vellum because you will see it. But if you really get this sticky paper sticky, it definitely helps and you will not see that glue. And we're just going to lay this down, making sure it's centered right on the front of the card. Then what I did is I used the Stitch So Sweetly, and let me get a piece of paper. It's all sticky here from the glue now. And I die cut out one of the frames. And this is the frame that is 2.5 by about 3 5/8. And I don't have, there is a stamp set that you can add the border around. I do not have it. So what I did, let me see if I can find, here it is. I took one of my Stampin' Write markers, and you can do whatever you want, but I'm using the pen side, and all I'm going to do is add some dots and lines just to add a little whimsy. You can make them curly, you can make them straight. On my original one, I made them curly. This one, so it'll be a little quicker if I just make straight lines this time. So we're just going to dot and dash all the way around. Okay, just like that. When using the Sweetheart dies, I actually, and if it hasn't disappeared, I actually had a little additional heart that I had cut out. And I just have to get one piece of paper here. Give me 1 second. I ended up getting alcohol onto my layer. So let me quick cut out another layer. I'll show you exactly what I did and why I needed to cut a new layer. I just need, it'll dry, but you see, I got alcohol on it, so we'll let that dry. All right, so now we have our frame. I'm going to grab my soft succulent, and I am going to grab the Love and Happiness stamp set. And I think what I'll do for this one, I will put on Happy Valentine's Day, friend. See if I can find it. There it is. I think the other one, is that what I put? I put Happy Anniversary on that one. So let's get, here it is right here. I think this is it. Yep. Happy Valentine's Day, friend. This sentiment is actually a little smaller, so we'll alter the front a little bit. So we're going to ink up in soft succulent, and I'll put it right about here. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to pop it up onto the front of our card. So we can cover up that heart. Now, if you wanted to leave that heart in place and stamp your sentiment in the center, you certainly can. You could even, if you have a smaller flower or a different heart, you can stamp it in the center. But I decided to cover my heart up and add this little frame, just like that. And then I'm going to grab my little heart, and we'll stick this right here on the front of the card. And then we're going to pop up our flower. And this time, the little doily, let me see where that is. Here it is. It's actually from the Heart and Home doilies, and it is the cinnamon cider color, but I just turned it over. And let's just see if I can, have to cut this down. We just want a little piece sticking out the bottom. So we'll add some glue and stick this underneath here. Make sure it's centered. And then add our flower. I'm just going to move it over a little since our sentiment is small. And then using the shimmery vellum, I cut these out from the Blessings of Home. And I'm just going to add some glue to the bottoms. And we're going to stick them under our flower. Make sure you have, I'm using both sides. One side is shimmery and this side is not. So this one I want the shimmery side up. So you want to just keep an eye on that when you're using this paper. And I'll do another shimmery one up here at the top. We're just going to stick that in just like that. I'm going to grab some rhinestones and we'll add one here. And then we're going to add one on this side and one right next to it. And that is the front of our card. For the center of the card, you can decorate it any way you like. I actually did not cut out the little hearts, but I'll show you on the original card. I just added the hearts, and this is from the same Sweetheart dies. Just a row of hearts on the inside. So this one, I'm just going to, and that's how you create this card. What does the hybrid mean? It's just a basic embossing folder with the option of adding the die into it so you can cut out an additional piece that is on. You do not have to. You can run this through and keep this there. That's perfectly fine. So, I hope you enjoyed today's card. I'll be creating another mail-a-card Monday tomorrow. I'll see what the day brings. Maybe I can do the card live instead of waiting a whole week. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your day. I got to head back to the kitchen and finish making today's dinner. So have a great day. Thanks for joining, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye now.